all in along with our special guest tonight, and he is from New York, and not the part of New York that you think. He's from the state of New York, not the city. And it's Rob Reiser. Rob, how you doing, man?
Doing great, George. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. Rob's another one of those that I ran across. I get a lot of the artists through Instagram and TikTok. So if you're an artist and you're watching, you can always message me on either one of those two platforms because I love having, independent artists on. That's what we're here for. We're introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. And we do that with the help of our sponsors. So let me give them a shout out real quick. We've got Go-Go Tuners. It is the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Check them out at gogotuners.com. Heart to Heart Coffee. It's coffee that gives back via just donations. And everything that you buy, 15% goes to a charity of your choice. And they're a great coffee. Heartcoffee.com. Civvy's Apparel is another one of our sponsors. Worn by heroes, made with respect. It's apparel that they incorporate retired military uniforms into every piece, and they are awesome. So you need to check them out at civviesapparel.com. And last but never least is Three Rangers Whiskey. Three Rangers Whiskey, it's not for the faint of heart at all. And it's a product born of brotherhood and just an amazing group of guys over there at Three Rangers Whiskey. So be sure to check them out too at threerangers.com. Okay, now that we're halfway through the show, we'll just it's great to have so many sponsors. I mean, it's so awesome that we've got so many people that jump on and help us out. So that's why I always want to give a shout out to them. So Rob, let's just start off with, the basic question. Tell me about growing up in the Adirondacks and getting into music.
Yeah. So I was born in New York City, but my family moved upstate when I was a little kid. And I grew up in a little town, didn't even have a stoplight in it. It didn't even have a post office, so my address wasn't even actually that town. We always used to joke there's more cows than people. And it was a great upbringing. I think because of that upbringing is really what made me get into music, because I didn't have people around, I didn't have a neighbor right down the road. And, I got drawn to music because of its power. Like when I was a kid, I used to tell everyone I wanted to be the president of the United States because I wanted to change the world, right? 8 years old. And I found music and it changed my whole world. It got me through so much and it taught me so much. And I just wanted to do that for other people. So, I got into it. And, like I said, other than sports at school, there wasn't a whole lot to do in my town. So I kind of had a lot of time where if I wasn't outside, I was playing guitar, and I got obsessed with guitar and writing songs.
So what is the first, or do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
I do. Yeah, I actually have it. I'm actually thinking about releasing it.
How old were you when you wrote that song?
So the first complete song that I think was decent, I was 14.
Okay.
I wasn't able to play guitar well enough. Actually, I don't even know if I could play and sing at the same time when I wrote that song. But I later joined a band and we put that song to music. And occasionally when I'm at a writer's round and I'm just feeling like it, I still bust it out every once in a while.
Wow. but you're thinking right now that you want to go ahead and do it and put it out. That's pretty awesome.
I think it'd be cool. I'm going to be releasing so much music over the next year that it might find its way out there.
Yeah, and I mean that's the way to do it, because we've had this glorious shutdown that seems like it's been a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I mean it's funny because today I was reading and Miranda Lambert said that she wrote about 100 songs during lockdown.
Wow.
And as a songwriter, I mean that's your craft, that's what you're doing. So how many do you think you've you've been able to write?
Not that many.
Yeah.
The weird thing about it is I didn't write as many songs during lockdown as I probably did before and after, but the songs I
Mhm.
did write were very inspired and very from the heart and very me because there was no outside influences. So
Right.
I didn't write that many, but just about everyone I wrote is gonna find its way out, and they're some of my favorite songs I've ever written. It kinda got me out of the Nashville machine where you're writing for country radio, and,
Hmm.
I was writing for just my heart and my expression, and I really fell in love with those songs. One of them is one of my favorite songs I've ever written, actually. So for me, it wasn't quantity, it was just, for songs I've written, better quality, and,
Right.
I would prefer that, honestly. I'd rather write 5 songs that I think are great that I'm gonna put out than have a catalog of 100 songs that'll never see the light of day. I don't understand that,
Right. Now, you talked about writing and not being for radio, which I work in radio and but I appreciate you saying that because I think so many people do that. They say, is this going to sound good on the radio? And that's not what matters. Are people going to connect to it?
Right, right, and it's the topics. As not just as an artist, but as a fan of country music, I'm kinda getting bored of the same topics that you're supposed to write about.
Right. Right. Now, when you were able to get out and write, the in-person writes, and then we get quarantined, did you do any of the Zoom writes like a lot of people did, or did you just kind of recluse to yourself when you did your writing because you felt that was better?
Yeah, I went right into solo writes. Like, the whole Zoom thing was just weird to me. Like, I'm a very, like, in-person kinda guy.
Mhm.
Like, I like to connect genuinely in the same room. Like, when I started writing as a kid, it was all solo writes for me, and then you get to Nashville and you do the co-writing thing, which is great. But I was almost at the point where it was probably a good thing for me to get pulled back into just doing it myself again because it allowed me to reconnect with songwriting and to start, you know, putting stuff out there that just meant more to me. And then when I did go back to co-writing again, that kind of carried over into it. And like I noticed before quarantine, I was writing a lot of songs that would just get filed away. And now I feel like when I write a song, it's something that I'm interested in releasing, which is a great feeling. But yeah, that's actually all I did during quarantine was solo writes. There was a period of time where I think for 2 months I didn't even see another human being.
And sometimes that's nice. I mean,
Oh,
you
I mean,
know,
yeah.
you just want to disconnect once in a while.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It does have its pluses, but
Right.
there's ups and downs to it. But I'm glad I went through it. It made me grow a lot.
Yeah, I gotta, I've never done this, but I left for work one day and I got to work and I realized I left my phone at home and I'm half an hour from work and I'm like, I'm not going to go back and get it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have my phone the entire day and I got so much accomplished.
Right? Isn't that amazing?
It's just so nice to just do that. Now, when you were growing up, you fronted a band called Whiskey Highway. That
Yeah.
was a cover band that you fronted.
Yep.
Um, kind of, I mean, was it, I'm guessing just from the name, it was probably a country cover band.
Yeah, for sure. So they were an established country cover band before I came to them. That was actually my first time fronting a band as a singer.
Mhm.
I've got a low baritone voice, and I didn't find my home in singing country music until around like 2015. I was always
Wow.
around country music growing up and love it. Grew up, my first concert was Toby Keith, and actually in my small town, the only station that came through without static was a country station.
Mm.
So it was always around, but I was primarily playing rock music in my late teens and early 20s, and my voice didn't fit that. And so I was just playing guitar, and then I kind of got inspired by like Keith Urban. I was just a huge fan of guitar, and Keith Urban and Brad Paisley kind of sucked me over to country because they're such great guitar players. So then I
Right.
ended up playing guitar in a country band. And then there was a night where our singer was really sick, and we needed someone to cover some songs to give him a break. And I stepped up and sang, and I was like, oh wow, this works. I realized I could sing country music, and that was around 2014. And then I left that band around 2015. I was, starting to do like a solo acoustic thing, and it was a tough breakup in that previous band, and I had a friend bring me out to see Whiskey Highway, and at that time I was like, I'm not going to be in another band. And I saw Whiskey Highway, and I had said to my friend, I was like, you know what? If an opportunity ever came about in a band like that, I would do it. And sure
Right.
enough, a few months later, I got a call from someone that was like, "Hey, I know this band Whiskey Highway is looking for a singer," and I was like, "I'm in." And I was actually working in New York City at the time, and Whiskey Highway is upstate, and I was commuting back and forth from the city to upstate New York just to play shows
Wow.
because I just wanted to play music so much.
Wow.
But yeah,
And that shows commitment. I mean, that just shows commitment.
man, my whole life is music. Like, I look back and every decision I've made along the way, whether it was conscious or not, was around music. But I had a lot of fun in that band. I learned, how to be a singer, how to last vocally for 4-hour shows, and how to front, and how to speak to a crowd, and develop my catalog of songs I can sing. It was a good
Mhm.
learning experience for sure.
So you, of course, you mentioned Keith Urban and Brad Paisley, but who are some of the other like influences that you've had in your life,
Yeah.
or
Um,
in your music, maybe?
so a few of them you'd probably be surprised by. When I was growing up, it was the rock band Creed that really
Mhm.
inspired me for music. Like, all my friends were listening to like NSYNC and Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys, and then Creed came around, and they had these like deep, powerful lyrics, and I just
Right.
connected with them so much that I got one on my arm recently. Um, and I that's what started for me, is like those lyrics. But then from a musical standpoint, um, I loved like John Mayer. Like, he was like,
Mhm.
I would say, as a musician, the biggest inspiration to me as a guitar player. And So basically, the guitar player of Creed, Mark Tremonti, and John Mayer, they got me hooked on guitar. But I always had country music around. I was a huge fan of Toby Keith growing up. He was my first concert.
Mhm.
I was always, like I said, country music was always around. But the Goo Goo Dolls, songwriting wise, were another huge influence on me. But then the
Right.
big one for me was when I found Dierks Bentley, because that was the first thing that I ever sang that was like, oh wow, it clicked, like it worked.
Right.
And to this day, I sing and people are like, "Oh, you sound like Dierks Bentley," and I'm like, "Yeah, probably because I grew up just singing his songs over and over again."
Right.
So he was the big one vocally, and then I would say one more I have to say is Tim McGraw, because I idolize him as a person,
Mhm.
performer, as a husband, as a father, as a man. I love Tim McGraw, and um, you know, I would say amongst that's a lot of diversity right there, but I think if you connect all that together, it's just musicians that have a lot of heart in their music.
Right. I mean, you know, I've worked in country radio for a long time, but I've worked other formats, and the Goo Goo Dolls were one. Uh, when I first got into kind of the pop side of stuff, um, Creed, my oldest son and I, we were digging Creed. Like every
Yeah,
CD they put out, my son had to, we had to go get. And Scott Stapp and Mark Tremonti and the other guys in the band, and they just there was just something about them,
yeah,
like you said, just the lyrics. They were so wholehearted and stuff.
I loved it. I ate it up, and like, I would say it was like one of the biggest teachers in my life. Like I
Mm.
learned how to be from some of those songs, and that's what I want to do for someone else. I want to affect people with those kind of lyrics. That's where it started for me, was those lyrics. They were deep.
Right, right. If there was one song, because I mean, you're a songwriter as well as a musician. If there was one song that you just thought to yourself and you were like, "Damn, why did I not write that song?" What song would that be for you?
Oh man. Do you want to laugh? It's I had a so when I get song ideas, I write them down in the notes of my phone. And in like 2010, 12 or 13, I had a song idea called Love Yourself. And I wrote some ideas on it, filed it away, never got written. And then what was it, like 2015, 16, and that time, Justin Bieber came up with that song. And I had like 6 or 7 lines that were almost exactly the same as what he had in that song. I was like,
Oh,
why didn't I finish writing that one? Yeah. So now we've gone a whole other direction, right?
right.
Yeah, I mean, if on a serious note, my favorite song ever, "Riser" by Dierks Bentley.
Mhm.
That's where my artist name came from. Was from that song. And that song embodies so much of me that when I sing it, I feel like I wrote it.
Right. It's a great song. It's one that I enjoyed a lot. Now we've talked about your lyrics, and they're very meaningful to not just you. I mean, if someone takes time to listen to them, there's a connection there. Um, what do you feel like is the biggest attribute that you have that draws people to your music when you're writing?
I think I just wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think I do it for the right reasons, and I just try to be positive and uplifting too in everything
Right.
I do. I always want to affect the world in a positive way. I just have really pure intentions.
And that's always an amazing thing because, especially nowadays with the way the world is, we need the positivity. It's enough of the negativity. I'm over that stuff.
For real.
you know. Well, I tell you what, let's do this. Let's take a quick break and play your song, "The Challenger."
All right.
And that was released like around August of 2020.
Right in the middle of the pandemic.
Right, right smack dab in there. And but it was it was good timing with the title and the song itself. It was good timing to do it then. So I mean, not that you ever have a song filed away and you go, "Oh, we're going to have some national crisis. I can put this out because it'll fit in perfect." You
I
never
wish I
do
was
that.
that calculated.
But we're going to take a quick break. We'll play that, then we come back. We're going to talk about it just a little bit, kind of find out the background of it, things like that. Okay.
Awesome.
So here's Rob Reiser. This is called "The Challenger." It's on B4Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today.
The announcer said, "Who's this guy? This match is a joke. He's a nobody. He'll probably just choke. He don't stand a chance. It's on the champion. I laughed 10-1 odds. He's undefeated. Around here, he's a guy. Dad told me the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So here is my shot. I'll give it everything I've got. I'm the challenger. I'm stepping in the ring, got nothing but my hopes and dreams, blood, sweat, and tears. Long road it took to get here. Man, I swear I may go down fighting, but you better believe it's still be on my feet. And it was around 13, I can promise you that you'll remember me as more than the challenger. Yeah. Once you shot right on the jaw, you can knock me down. I'll still get back up for more. Don't know when to quit now, but I know what I'm fighting for. So here is my shot. I'll give it everything I've got. I'm the challenger. I'm stepping in the ring, got nothing but my hopes and dreams, blood, sweat, and tears. Long road it took to get here. Man, I swear I may go down fighting, but you better believe it's still be on my feet. If it was round 13, I can promise you that you'll remember me. 'Cause I'm more than just a challenger. Nobody dare get in my way. You can knock me down, but in the song. So here is my shot. I'll give it everything I've got. I'm a challenger. I'm stepping in the ring, got nothing. But my hopes and dreams, blood, sweat, and tears. All road it took to get here. And I swear, I may go down fighting, but you better believe it's still beyond my feet. If there was round 13, I can promise you that you'll remember me. There's more than the challenger. There's more than the challenger. There's more than the challenger.
All right, that's Rob Reiser, The Challenger. Great song, very inspirational. I mean, that's a good uplifting song right there when people just listen to the words.
Thank you so much.
One of the things I have to ask, the very first line where it's like an announcer and says something about, I wonder if this guy's going to choke. Was that from experience? Did you have an announcer say that at one point?
No, I just I had this image of, I related where the idea of the song came from, and I can get into that if you like, but the song was kind of like a boxing match to me, where you have the underdog, the challenger versus the champion. And I just thought about him sitting in the locker room, what was going through his mind before he, made the walk out to the ring. And I just pictured a TV on in the corner, and, the announcer is talking about the pre-fight stuff and, not being on his side for the outcome to work in his favor. And I just kind of use that to set the tone.
Right.
So that's where that started from. I just kind of want to set that imagery.
So where did the song come from? I mean, what was the inspiration to write that song?
So that's really special to me, and that's why that song actually got released first. It started off with a conversation I had with my dad. He was telling stories from the good old days, the glory days, and back in his prime, he had a 1971 Dodge Challenger. And so this car would make its way into so many stories. All the stories began and ended with this car. And I'd heard so many of them. And I remember he was telling one that I'd heard a million times before, but I always let him tell him because it made him so happy. And I was kind of daydreaming about just the name, the Challenger. I just thought that was just such a cool name. It just invoked emotion from me. And, I kind of related the Challenger to, at the time, I'm into mixed martial arts and boxing and stuff. And I just kind of related it to that. And I wrote the song from there. But then my dad also kind of ingrained a lot of sayings, like lessons in me growing up. And he'd always have these sayings he'd repeat. And a couple of them made them into the song, so much so that I actually gave him songwriting credit. So I had a piece of my dad in that song. And right before I moved to Nashville, he passed away. So when it was time to record my first single and invest a bunch of money into it, I was like, no matter what happens commercially with this song, it's going to mean something to me to put this out there because of that connection to him. And that's why I put it out. And I fell in love with it. And, as just the meaning behind it. But I actually, this is a announcement that hasn't been made yet. In the middle of recording a 7-song EP that might end up being a full-length album, and it's sounding exactly the way I want my music to sound. And after hearing a couple of the songs we had done, I said, you know what, I want to go back and redo the Challenger, because that song was supposed to be more of an anthem. It wasn't supposed to be as ballady as it came out. And I also want to tweak a few lyrics just to make it more universal. So we actually started re-recording that song last week, and I don't know what order. I know the first 3 singles I'm going to be putting out over the next few months. I don't know where the Challenger is going to be. It's going to be sometime this summer. But yeah, I have a new version of that song that I'm so excited for because it sounds like I always heard that song sounding, and I think that the music now captures that fighting spirit a little more.
Right. And that's the cool thing about, first, let me give you, I want to give you my condolences on your father passing. And I know it's been some time, but, that's always hard. I mean, we always deal with that. And there's always some way that we want to remember them,
Mhm.
and you've done it in a grand way
Thank you.
by, with the song and putting him on as credit and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think that's
It-
so admirable to do that.
Thank you. And it actually came out on his birthday.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
it was originally supposed to be released April 2020, and the pandemic delayed that because
Right.
we weren't able to get back in the studio to finish it. And we got around to July when we actually got it done, and I was like, you know what, like his birthday is 3 weeks away, and so I got to release it on his birthday too. So like,
Oh, man.
if you couldn't get any more, full circle than that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that is just so cool. And like I said, I always appreciate whenever an artist, I mean, that again, that makes it a lot more personal, um, for not only you, but for people that when they know the story, that kind of, to me, that kind of adds to it. I mean, I like the song as it is and I get it. And I feel like it's kind of again, it's kind of a positive, uplifting message for people, that, you may be the challenger, but you can always finish on top, you know?
Yes, thank you, George. I appreciate that, and I think you'll like the new version even more because I made it even more uplifting. I actually took out some of the lines in the first verse that kind of sounded more down on his chances. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show it to you.
Well, I can't wait for it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think that's going to be great. If you had to classify your music, and the reason I ask this question is because my take on country music right now is it's so fragmented with different genres. You've
Yeah.
got country rock, country pop, you've got hip hop, you've got country rap, and all this other whatever it is in there that they've thrown together. Um, where would you put it in any of those classifications, or is there one that you have that I haven't named or anything?
I thought about this a lot because I am very rock influenced, um, but I'm absolutely a country artist, and I would just label myself as country. I think the stuff I'm doing is sounding more country than you know most country artists. So I'll always be a country artist, but country and rock is where it's at for me. The new stuff that's going to be coming out is a little more pop country, but I've always got kind of that darker edge to my stuff as well.
Right.
It, but genuinely all the way through country and it's always gonna be real instruments for me.
Right. It's funny because we were listening to a song by a country artist at work today. The guy that works middays, and then I work in the afternoons and have the afternoon drive show. And we were listening to a song, and he goes, "We played something else before," and I said, "I don't know if these guys are country or not." And he works on the rock station, and he works on the country station as well. We all kind of do dual duties. And he goes, "No," he said, "they don't really sound it." And so I played another popular artist. I don't want to say their name or anything, but played another popular artist. And he goes, "Now that sounds country." And I said, "Well," I said, I got to be honest. If you compare it to today's country, it's actually got a snare drum and
Mhm.
it's not people, like the finger snap."
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And
I totally get
I
that.
think,
But the thing, all right. So the thing for me, the test for it is not just sonically though. It's like where the heart is.
right.
Where's the heart of the song? Like I always like Sam Hunt, for example. Like I think he's an amazing songwriter, amazing artist, and I got really tired of people saying like he's not country because sonically it might be a little more R&B, and he might have his own different thing going on, but like at its core, like the lyrics and the feel are country, so it's
Mhm.
country. Like let's stop arguing about that and just appreciate the music too.
Right. And the thing, and I've said this over and over and over. I mean, I've saw the progression of radio from, turntables to CDs to computers and digital and and all that stuff. But I've also saw the progression of country music.
Mhm.
And the one thing that holds true in country music is every song is a story,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's what makes country special. It used to be three chords and the truth.
Yeah.
Well, there's more than three chords in some country songs nowadays. But the truth is still there. I mean, it's still,
And that's
it
why I
still
love
gives you what you're looking for.
that's why I love country music. It's real
Yeah. I
life.
mean,
It's real life.
it's just great. Now, here I'm going to do something right now because uh, I have some connections in Nashville,
Mhm.
and one of those connections kind of sent me a little something that I'm going to play. And this is actually it's a world premiere. I'm super excited about this because I don't think anybody's heard this yet. It's a song that you have coming out, but it's not going to be released for a couple of months, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, next release is going to be March 11th.
And so I'm super excited because I'm going to play a tease of this song. I'm not going to play the whole song, but I've got a tease of it, and I'm going to put that out there for our viewers and our listeners to give a listen to, because I think this is, for me, being a husband and a father, this is a great song.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
And
much.
so I'm gonna play that song. I'm gonna intro it first, and then we're gonna play it. Okay, so we'll do the intro, which is this.
Introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Here's a b4Nashville world premiere.
Baby, fall on me when days are rough. We'll be tougher when life gets tough. My feelings for you will never change, and you can mark these words I say, 'cause these are my promises. I'm gonna love you with all that I am. I'll be everything for you and be the best man I can. And I'm gonna cherish you like a George Strait love song, a love so true, and one you can always count on. And you're gonna know it in everything I do. I'm gonna love you, I promise.
Now, my prediction on that song, the song is called My Promise, and it's going to be coming out March 11th, you said, correct?
Yes, sir.
My prediction on that is that by the time June rolls around,
Mhm.
that song is going to be played as the first song for a lot of weddings.
Oh man, that would make my life. Thank
You
you.
know, I think it's going to be it's going to be the new, Chris Lane. I forget which song he had out that
Big,
was
big
like,
plans.
yeah, big
Yes.
plans. It's like everybody played that at their wedding,
Yes.
and that's going to be one of those. That's going to be the wedding song of 2022 right there.
That would make my life. If one person used it as their song, it would make my life. But yes, I mean that's the goal, man.
Yeah.
That song is just it's a little hard to put out there because it's like my heart. It's
Mhm.
like it's raw. I was sitting there one day single and just thinking about what I wanted love to be and the way I wanted to love somebody someday, and that's what came out. So it's pure just, dreaming about what love is supposed to be.
And it's once you hear the entire song, because as I said, I've got connections in town. I was able to
Got
get
some
a hold
great
of
connections because no one's heard that
Yeah.
song yet.
Right. And and so I got the whole song, and I've listened to it, but I promised I wouldn't play the whole thing. So, and I mean, it's only fair because I quite honestly, I think a lot of people that are, planning, like I said, planning a wedding or something like that. I've actually got a couple of friends that are planning a wedding pretty soon. So maybe I ought to send that to them. And
I would
a couple of them are right in town. So
So the very few people that have heard it have also said the same thing about it being a wedding song. And I think when I release this song, that I'm going to make an announcement that the first couple to use it as their wedding song, I will come to their wedding and I will play it. And let
There
me
you
tell
go.
you something, the most nerve-wracking, I don't get nervous when I play music. I actually feel probably more comfortable on stage than I am in person. But the most nervous I've ever been my whole life playing music was playing a first dance for a couple at a wedding. I played I Crossed My Heart by George Strait, which that song was actually very inspired by George Strait. There's name drop in it too, because like George Strait love songs are it for me when it comes like classic country love song. Oh my gosh, George Strait right here. But anyway, I played I Crossed My Heart for this couple, and first dance being videotaped. I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my whole life than that.
And I could imagine that too. I mean, that could be nerve wracking because I mean, if and I hate to do this because I don't want to jinx anybody, and I probably shouldn't say this. And if it happens, I know I'm probably going to be in trouble if we ever meet face to face. But the worst thing in the world when something like that happens is in the back of your mind, you're going, "Don't screw up, don't screw up, don't
Yep.
screw up."
Yep.
And when you do that, it increases the odds that you're going to screw up.
You know what? Every time that I mess up on stage is because I was thinking. When I'm just like in that flow state where it's just happening and I'm not even thinking about the words that come next or anything like that, there's never any issues. It's always when I try.
I hear you. I hear you. I played in bands, and I remember the first time I got to play in a band. Actually, I take that back. It wasn't the first time. I played in a band for a few years, and we did a thing at a fair, and this was like big stage and everything. And my leg, I was so nervous. I played drums. My leg was shaking so bad. Just on one bass drum, I sounded like I was a thrash metal drummer. I mean, it was just, that just constantly thumping the bass. And then the lead singer looks back at me. And so I just took my foot off and I'm like, golly, I don't know what that was all about. But it was just nerves,
I can relate because the guitar picks I used, and I've used the same guitar picks for like 15 years now. They have these like sandpaper grip on them because with my very first show, I was worried because my hands were shaking and I was going to drop the pick. So I went to the guitar store and I got these picks. They're the Dunlop Max Grip picks, and I've been using the same picks now for 15 years just because of that. So
wow. and you get into that, I mean, I learned just like that, taping the drumsticks or, something like that. But I'm as long as I didn't think about it, I was fine. I mean, never missed a beat, never got out of time. If I had to sing, I could sing and play at the same time, which I thought was great when I was doing it. Nowadays, it's like everybody and their brother can do it.
I don't know about that. Not on the drums. That's tough. That's tough. I have one party trick, and it's playing Kryptonite by Three Doors Down on the drums and singing at the same time. And I do it, and then everyone expects me to do another, and I'm like, you don't understand. That's all you're going to get. Like, not only is that the only one I know, but that took literally all of the brain capacity that I have to do.
I know, right? I'm sitting there thinking, man, there's no way that he could have done that, play. And the lead singer, and I forget his name, and I hate that, but the lead singer for Three Doors Down is actually a drummer.
Yeah, they started off like with him on the drums, fronting the band from the drums. He actually lives here in Nashville now. It's amazing how many rock stars are here in Nashville now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole band is down there. They even have a studio in Nashville.
Yeah, Chris Henderson does up in Hendersonville.
Yeah, and actually, Justin, I screw his name up every time. Biltonen, I think is the way it's pronounced. The bass player.
Yeah. I've met him. He's an awesome guy. He's a great songwriter too.
Oh yeah, amazing. And I mean, his country stuff is so good.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get some things worked out to get him on the show. We were supposed to have him on and some things happened. So I'm hoping to get him back to where I can get him on the show. And I'll probably fangirl over that one. I'll be all,
right?
Just can't talk.
It's funny, the last time I saw him at a writer's round, it was literally the week before I was seeing Three Doors Down in a concert. And I was like, I'll see you in a week.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when Kryptonite first came out, my oldest son, he fell in love with the song.
Yeah, that's still one
And
of my favorite songs to perform. My set's largely country, but I always do Kryptonite towards the end, and everyone just sings it at the top of their lungs. It's so much fun.
yeah, I showed him the drum part on it, the best I could figure it out. I'm not a trained drummer. I'm just an ear drummer that, I just make stuff up. But I try to get it close. But I showed him kind of the basics of it, and
Nice.
I think he was probably 10, 11, something like that. And he get latched onto it, and he'd go get behind the kit, and he'd just start doing it, and I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty good. Now he plays guitar, but but nothing wrong with that, right?
Not at all.
So a little part of the show I like to get into where it's just kind of off the wall. We're going to do just a few weird questions, not really weird questions, but just not typical questions. And this segment is quite honestly called
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
That's right. It's called What the Hell. So I normally do 5 questions when I can get this segment in, but I've got 7 lined up for you tonight. So I'm
Right. Lucky
excited because, it's going to take some time to get through these. Now, the first one, besides radio and playing drums and being a husband and a father and all that stuff, I DJ parties.
Nice.
And so I'm DJing a party, and I call you up, say, Rob, come with me. So we go to the party, and I tell you just to take over. And you're going to do a 5-song set.
Mm-hmm.
What 5 songs are you going to pick for that set?
Oh, man. So I just love songs that just make people sing at the top of their lungs. So there's definitely going to be Sweet Caroline in there. Oh man, literally, I'm trying to think like all those like pop songs that just make people go crazy. I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas. That one always sets a good vibe.
Right.
There's definitely gonna be that one Backstreet Boys song that everybody knows. Like you just got to put that in there for all the ladies just to go crazy on. Man, I mean, Friends in Low Places, like, let's go. Anything that people are gonna sing along to and know all the words to. Yeah, I probably would sneak some kind of rock song in there too. I probably would just go super cheesy and just like throw out like Rockstar by Nickelback or something like that too. But,
there you go.
Yeah. Because everyone thinks they're like the coolest ever when they're singing Rockstar by Nickelback.
Right. And the fun part is because you're saying that, and I'm thinking, okay, I could do that. I could, if I was DJing and had a set, yeah, those would all work out really good. And then, and I'm not, there's a couple in there that I thought about, and I was waiting for you to say one of them for sure. And that's when, and I really thought you were going to end it with that one. Then you went with Nickelback, which I think is a great one. I think it's perfect for what you're looking for. But sing along songs, you got to do Journey. Don't stop believing.
Okay, so I would normally say that, but when that song comes on, I have PTSD because I can't sing that high, and it gets requested all the time. And like early on in my playing covers career, I took a stab at it and couldn't get the voice up there, and tried to make the crowd sing, and it was not my greatest moment of my musical career. So I'm never going to voluntarily put that song on there. But
the thing about it is I don't have underwear that tight. So I'm not hitting those notes at all. All right, let's go on to question 2. You're headlining an arena tour. Mm-hmm. This is your tour.
All right.
And you get to hand pick your 2 openers. Who are they going to be?
Wow, that's pretty cool. And it's tough because it's kind of saying that they didn't that they're not headlining, and the people that I would pick are probably further along in their artist journey than I am. But I would have to say, I'm going to give you three of my favorite Nashville artists. All right.
Okay.
And this is like, they all have larger followings than me, but someone that is a huge influence on me having moved to Nashville is Chris Moreno. Respect him so much. I've learned a lot from him. So he'd be number one. Number two would absolutely be one of my favorites in existence, Casey Johns. I play with her at Redneck Riviera a ton. She is just absolutely amazing. And I think my favorite new up and comer that I think is totally killing it is Peyton Howie. So those are like three of my favorite like Nashville artists. But I'd have to say too, I'd want to put like an older artist that maybe isn't doing as well on the bill as well. And I want it to be like somebody that like I grew up singing their songs, but they're kind of not, they kind of faded away. And I would have to say the best person I could think of would probably be like Joe Nichols.
Okay.
Let's get him back out there. You know, like he
Yeah.
kind of fell off a little bit, like somebody like that. It's like one of those 90s country guys that like had an amazing career, but then, you know, kind of disappeared.
Yeah. Oh man. And it's the openers that you picked. I got to tell you, Chris has been on the show
Nice.
just recently. Peyton has been on the show. As a matter of fact,
Really?
I was talking to her today, just, you know, chatting, and I know her pretty well. I mean,
Amazing.
I work with a concert series, and we've had her at two of the shows that we've done.
Nice.
And,
I saw her last night. She played at Winter's Bar. She was absolutely amazing. And I'm actually playing in a writer's round with her tomorrow as well. So,
oh, cool.
So talented for her. I can't believe she's as young as she is. Like,
oh yeah.
When the first time I saw her, you know, as a guitar player, I just really respect artists that can also play. And the first time I saw her play was, you know, it was in a lineup where there was a lot of bands, and then she just played solo acoustic, and she killed it all by herself, and that made me respect her a ton.
Yeah, she matter of fact, this past August we had her at a show up in St. Louis, Missouri, and she's from that area, and she played a show up there, and just awesome. I mean, and she's such a sweetheart. I mean, she is just so sweet, and just love her to death.
I don't understand why everyone's not that way. It literally is. Oh, it would help this industry so much.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If everybody had her attitude, then life would be great. And there's a lot of up and coming artists that, you know, are down there. And I don't know, you know, a couple of them that you may know. Molly Lovett. Molly is fantastic. She and Peyton are actually, we call the name of the concert series is Freedom Jam, and we call them Freedom Jammers. And so Molly and Peyton are both Freedom Jammers. Molly moved to Nashville right after the first show that we did that night. She played a show. She had her U-Haul on the back of the truck, and her mom and dad took her down to Nashville and
nice
unloaded and dropped her off.
So that's awesome. I actually played my first Nashville show within 24 hours of getting to the city as well. It's just crazy. The city, it's just like you go, you know?
Yeah. And you have to, you know? So now I've got this whole thing. It's a part of what we're doing, but I call it the heat seat. Okay. It's kind of a foodie question.
Okay.
I mean, you know, you're in Nashville, you got to talk about Nashville hot chicken.
Yeah.
So what is your heat on your chicken? Do you like the Southern, the mild, the medium, the hot, the damn hot, or the shut the cluck up?
Okay. So I'm not going to pretend like I'm total badass and like I do this all the time. But when I do get Nashville hot chicken, I go for the absolute hottest I can possibly get. But that's like once or twice a year. Like that's not what I'm getting all the time. You gotta go all in. I'm an extreme kind of person. Like if I'm doing something, I'm doing it.
Well, I got to admit, I'm a Southern guy in more ways than one. And I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. Let's play Guitar Hero.
Okay.
Mark Tremonti or Jimi Hendrix?
Tremonti all the way. He orchestrates his solos. He sits there and composes them to be these masterpieces. I would say Hendrix could totally take them if it was improv, but I just love the way he composes his solos to be like this emotional build. Hendrix was just a lot of incredible experimentation and a lot of drugs too.
Right. And that helped with the experimentation because he was in a whole nother world.
Yeah.
All right. Are you a football fan?
Not as much as I used to be. When I went all in on music, everything like that just kind of fell off a little bit, but I do have certain allegiances.
Okay. So this weekend, we got the AFC and the NFC championships.
Yes.
So I'm going to make you pick here. The Bengals versus the Chiefs. Who's going to come out on top in that game?
On paper, the Chiefs, but the Bengals surprised me and broke my heart last week, beating the Titans the way they did. So they kind of got that momentum going on. They might be that dark horse. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs should win, but the Titans should have won too. So I wouldn't count the Bengals out.
Right. And the Chiefs game, I'm a Chiefs fan, and it's like Chiefs and Titans. I mean, that's my hierarchy. Ain't nobody else. If the Chiefs aren't playing, or if they're playing on Sunday and the Titans are on Saturday, I've got my Titan shirt on and I'm watching the Titans. But now if the Chiefs and the Titans play, I got to go for my Chiefs just because they're from the home state. I
totally get that. So my heart was also broken because I was in the Titans hype song music video. We filmed that like Monday or Tuesday of last week, and it came out last Friday. It debuted on National News Channel 5, and I was playing guitar in the music video with John Rich and Cowboy Troy, and they were going to play it at the stadium. I'm pretty sure it got played at the stadium and everything, and it was like this big thing. And now that the Titans lost, they're never going to play it again. I was like, this is my moment. This is my moment.
That's right. You get your 15 seconds of fame, and that was it.
God.
And that's as far as it went. Okay, so the Rams and the 49ers. Who are you going to pick in that one?
The Rams. No reason other than I had a bad experience in San Francisco.
Is this leading to one of those Connor Smith "I Hate Alabama" songs? You're going to write a song about the 49ers because of a bad experience in San Francisco. I got to say, and I'm going to be honest with you. I got to go with the 49ers for the simple fact, kind of the same reason of you, but just the opposite, because of a bad taste in my mouth, because the Rams were in St. Louis and then they just pulled out overnight pretty much.
Yeah.
And it angered the entire state of Missouri, which, I'm from Missouri, and it just ticked the whole state off. So I've never had any use for the Rams,
Yeah.
And now Kurt Warner, I can handle Kurt Warner all day long, but because, he won the Super Bowl for the Rams when they were in St. Louis, helped win. Let me say he helped win the Super Bowl for the Rams when they were in St. Louis. But those days are long gone. So anyway, speaking of, we talked about Chris Lane and Big Plans a while ago.
Yeah.
And, golly, I'm so bad trying to remember stuff on the fly, but, he's got another song out, the one that was played on, The Bachelor. It wasn't Big Plans. It was something else. But he has a line in there that says, tell me what your wrist tattoo says.
Yes, that is such a good songwriting line.
Yeah. And I mean, that was like the hook in the entire song that got everybody.
Yep.
And so I kind of noticed something earlier, and I jotted this question down real quick because you have a tattoo on your forearm, and I'm guessing because
Yes.
of the way I'm looking, I'm not sure if I'm right, but is that your left forearm?
It is, yes.
Okay. So what does your forearm tattoo say?
First off, I have this as of yesterday. It literally
Oh,
got
wow.
yesterday. So it is lyrics to a song that has been with me my whole life. It says, "Give life, give love, give soul." And I have been writing that on all of my guitar cases since I was a little kid, because that kind of sums up why I do music. The leading line to that is in the song. It says, "What are you going to do with your gifts?" And then the next line is, "Give life, give love, give soul." And that literally is always stuck with me. I've written it on all my guitar cases to remind me of that's why you do music. And this is, how I usually hold a microphone, and I always wanted something there that you'd see when I'm holding the microphone. And I've always wanted it. And I literally woke up yesterday and was like, I'm just going to go do this. And I just moved right downtown. Like, I literally live in downtown Nashville now, which is amazing. And I just walked in the cold, stopped in a couple tattoo places, found one that I felt comfortable with, and finally got it. And honestly, it feels like it's been there my whole life, even though I just got it. It means a lot to me to have that, because that sums it up. And then I think on this one, I'm gonna get "Always Stay Humble and Kind," because "Humble and Kind" by Tim McGraw is one of my favorites, but one at a time.
Love it. Yeah.
So I didn't say what song or band that's from, because I really want someone who knows it to comment on it someday, because it's very obscure. It's from a early 2000s rock song that was an album track on that band's probably least popular album. So the chances of someone knowing it are small, but if anyone ever does pick up on it, it'll mean a lot to me if they did. So I mean, people will probably just Google it, but "Give life, give love, give soul." That sums up why I do music.
But I love that, man. That is great. The sad thing you were talking about, because you're holding a mic, so people see your forearm. If I ever did something like that, because I'm in radio or I'm in front of a camera, I'm going to have one tattooed across my forehead. Nobody will ever see it anywhere else.
Nice.
And so the last one I've got here. Okay.
All right.
We've talked about quarantine. We've talked about the shutdown. Your quarantine guilty pleasure. We all had them. So what was the guilty pleasure that you had during quarantine?
YouTube. I went down so many rabbit holes. I got myself a YouTube premium membership. And I learned about so many things that I am never going to need to know for the rest of my life. So many things. I'd be like, how are candles made? Boom. And then it'd be like 3 1-hour videos on how, I just went deep. I found some podcasts like the Lex Fridman podcast, which is really sciencey. I think I'm a fairly intelligent human being, but a lot of it goes over my head. But I just started just learning about so much stuff. I spent way more time than I needed to. I mean, you think it's a positive thing learning, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to use this stuff, but then every once in a while, something will pop up and people will think I'm the smartest person in the room because of some random YouTube video that I watched during quarantine. So
Right. You could go on Jeopardy and run for a month,
And to this day, I still have the only streaming service I have a plan with is YouTube, because to this day, when I get home, I just go on there and go down some kind of rabbit hole, and it all started during quarantine.
I know the feeling, because I'm the same way. It's like I'll find a subject and I just, because they pop up 10 or 12 of them if there's a lot, and you just want to watch them all. And it could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour and a half,
The YouTube algorithm is too good. If I'm scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, eventually I'll just get bored and see too many things that I don't care about and then get off it. But YouTube, it never stops. The next video that it pops up is it's you just can't stop. It's literally just, I could do YouTube all day.
And I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's me, because I'm kind of a gearhead. Since I got into the podcast, there's just I'm always looking for gear.
Same.
Um,
I'm trying to
I,
be better.
yeah, I shouldn't be because quite honestly, it can get expensive, and some
I
of
don't
it's, you know,
My test
really,
now, so my test now is this going to affect my career right now? If the answer is yes, I'll spend the money. If I'm just, you know, getting something just to get something, I hold off now, and I'm gonna, be spending all my money on promoting and recording the music I'm gonna be releasing this year. So
right.
trying to be better, but I'm always like, I always find problems that can only be solved with getting new gear.
Exactly. I'm the same way, I mean, I I needed a new camera, so I bought one, needed a new computer, so I bought one, you know, and I did like some of it I needed. The computer, yeah, I needed. The camera, probably not so much,
Yeah,
or something that wasn't as expensive.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, just stuff like that. And it's like you said, and you have to think, am I buying it because I need it, or am I buying it because I want it?
yeah.
And for a while, I got to be honest with you, the way I took care of that issue, if I told myself it was just a impulse buy, I would go to and I hope my wife's not listening because I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I would go to the convenience store and I get a pack of Twinkies. It's like, if I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to spend it on something worthwhile.
And if you still want it after you eat those Twinkies, then maybe you did need it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what my dad always said. You have, don't do it and just see if you really need it. And it's like, well, I don't need the Twinkies, but I want them, so I'm going to get them.
Nice.
And then
I love it.
afterwards, we'll see.
That's
Um, so, what the kind of the last thing we got going on here, because it's been a great conversation to talk with you and hang out with you tonight. Absolutely.
I've had a blast.
Want to remind everybody, and I just happened to look up and notice that I put you over above your website, and then I didn't switch it again. So it's don't go to the website expecting to see me on there, because that's Rob's website. So robriser.com, and that's got all your links and everything. And we were kind of talking about like your upcoming dates and stuff, but and I love the way that you put this. I'm in Nashville, and people just come see me in Nashville because you're playing there so much. You're not really booking out just yet away from very much.
Well, I did
Um,
that, and the thing is like, now I need to be more calculated about it, and
right,
go inside of Nashville when it makes sense. Both from growing your artist career and financially, not just for the sake of getting out of Nashville.
right. Right. So if they want to find you in Nashville, the best way to do is just go downtown and walk in someplace and hope you're there.
Just start walking down Broadway and you'll hear my voice. That has literally happened. That's happened so many times where like someone's like, I hear your voice. Yeah, because I play a lot on the first floors of bars, so then they broadcast out into the street. I can't tell you how many times. One of my childhood best friends that I hadn't talked to in 10 years was walking down Broadway, heard me sing, and walked in.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But anyway, I play mostly at Redneck Riviera. That's my main spot. I'm there Friday and Saturday, 6 to 10, every single week, unless they have an event going on.
Okay.
Johnny Cash's a lot. I fill in a lot of different places. My favorite gig, I would say one of the most fun gigs I've ever had, because it's always so amusing. It never fails to just be ridiculous in some way, is every Sunday from 6 to 10, I play at Taco Bell. Yes. In Nashville, Taco Bell on 2nd Avenue has not only a stage for music, but sells alcohol. It's honestly like, I've been playing there now for 6 months and I still can't like process it. And it always ends up being, entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Whether like, people are just fun or over the top, or like a couple weeks ago we went down this like 90s pop rabbit hole, and I was playing like Usher and Nelly and all kinds of stuff that you'd never expect me to sing. It's just always entertaining in some way. It's but yeah, that one's a lot of fun. But mostly I'm at Redneck Riviera. When it's busy season, I'm there even more, 4 or 5 times a week. John Rich is quite a human being, and great culture there, great staff. They treat musicians better than anywhere else I've experienced. So that's my main spot, and I'm really happy to be a part of that family.
Yeah, John is a good guy, and
Really.
he's I met him, and when I was working at another station, I get a package one day that says on it, it's from John Rich, and I'm going, no, this somebody's pranking me. I
Yeah.
was ready to call the bomb squad
Right.
because I didn't know what it was. And then there was something on it that kind of, if you know John, it kind of verified it, and I can't remember what it was. So I opened it up, and it was a bottle of the whiskey.
Yeah.
And he had sent that to me, and I thought, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I've sold so much of that whiskey for him, and I've never tried it because I actually haven't drank in like 14 or 15 months now. So
Wow.
the whole time that I've been playing at his bar, I haven't been drinking. So, but I hear it's good.
It is good. I think my bottle's about empty, but I have to be careful. I don't want to take 3 Rangers off, but I've had that bottle a lot longer than I've known them. So that bottle's actually been around for about 2.5 years.
Nice.
And
Nice.
you let it age, and it's great. So just you're going to release more music in 2022. What other projects, or what is this year hopefully going to look like for you?
This is my year. This is the year I'm going all in. I started off the year. I filmed a bunch of live acoustic in studio stuff to get my YouTube channel going. And those videos have been releasing every 2 weeks. And I'm filming more of them in early February. So they're going to continue to release every 2 weeks. And they're all original songs. So I've been putting that out. I filmed one of my recent shows at Redneck Riviera, so those live videos are going to come out, but that's all just stuff to just keep things going and keep the social media going and keep content out there. I'm releasing 7 singles between March 11th and the end of the year, and then after those 7 singles, depending on finances and funding, they're either going to be released as an EP, or I'm going to record a few more songs and release a full-length album. But basically, this all started because I wrote this song called Get Down Girl. I wrote it with my guitar player that I play on Broadway with a ton. And we sat down, and I was like, man, I'm so tired of playing an original song and people leaving the dance floor because they don't know it. I was like, we need to write a song that goes right in between Country Girl and Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, and everyone just stays right on the dance floor and continues to have a great time. And we wrote that song, and I am so excited about it. It's definitely the most commercial thing I've ever put out. It's so much fun, but it's still true to me in that, like, it's more of like a women empowerment song. Like, one of the issues I always had with Country Girl is, like, no offense to Luke Bryan, but he's like, girl, shake it for me. And basically this song is like, girl, shake it for you. Right. So, like, that song is, when I wrote that song, I was like, okay, it's time to go back into release mode. And that was going to be the first single I released. And I started recording it. And then after talking to people that are far more experienced in the industry, they're like, you can't release your big single first. You have to build up to it. So My Promise was the song that was most together. And the reason why it was because I sat down with a really well-known producer, had an amazing time with him, played him like 10 songs of mine. And I couldn't afford him. Like one of the guys that, a major label artist would use. But I got some really great advice, and he tore apart my stuff, and he was like, that's the song that is your sound, but there are parts of the song that are not as good as other parts. So I literally sat there for a day, like an entire day, at my desk, banging my head off the wall, rewriting that song, and got it to the point where I couldn't change a thing. And I felt really confident in that one. And, I feel like it represents me really well. So that's My Promise is going to be my reintroduction back into the world on March 11th, 2022. And then that other single I was talking about, the fun one, is going to come out end of April. Off the top of my head, I think it's April 22nd or the 29th. So end of April, just to give it some time to gain traction, because it's a summer song. Have it gain traction before summer comes along, and then the next one after that, it's basically every 6 to 8 weeks. From there,
Okay.
there's a new single coming out, and there'll be a music video for My Promise and Get Down Girl for sure. And those will be my first music videos ever. And then we'll go from there. You know, I'm all in this year. This is actually going to be the first year of my life that I've done music full time and only music, and that's where I'm at right now. I just want to be completely focused and get my art out there and build this.
Right. Well, and I will tell you, a wise man once told me, because of where you're at and where you're about to go, hold on tight, because this ain't no 8-second ride.
Oh yeah.
You know, you were out of the realm of the rodeo.
Yeah. It's hard as an artist, man. I mean, there's
Oh gosh.
so many ways you can make mistakes, and there's so many ways you could waste your money. You know, everyone in this industry is trying to take your money, and you know, I've been down those roads where I spent money in places that it didn't benefit me, or it wasn't what was promised to me. But I'm working with a producer right now, Justin Wentz. That's actually Chris Moreno's producer, and Lissa Coulter too. She uses him. And I'm just so happy with how things are sounding. It sounds like me. It sounds like my music. And that's why I went back and was like, I need to re-record the Challenger, because now that song's not going to fit with everything else I'm releasing.
Wow. I can't wait to hear the redo of that, the mulligan, if you want to call it that, you know, the redoing it. Because I think just from listening to what you're saying about it, it sounds to me like it's going to be just off the chain, man.
It is an anthem. It is an anthem now. It rocks. It's once that song gets going, it doesn't let up now.
Right. I'm excited to hear it. I really am. And hopefully if things work out, we will, you know, we'll get to meet face to face here in a few weeks.
Love to see you at the show.
Yeah. I tell you, man, keep me posted on what's going on. And when you release the Challenger, you know, after, you know, you get everything done, you get it released, then shoot it to me, because I'd love to hear the we'll call it the new and improved version. Not that it needed improving, but, you know, it's the new version.
I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I don't know if I'm going to leave the old one up and call the new one something like, it'll still be the Challenger, but it might be like, you know, different mix or, you know, whatever. I don't know. I don't know if I might leave the old one up out of just respect for what it was, but I haven't decided how I'm going to do that. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Since you're going to be coming down to one of my shows at some point, what is George's request for a song when you walk into a honky tonk?
You know, I'm going to be perfectly honest, and this is because of my wife, and that is Chris Young, Who I Am With You.
Oh, that's so good. Such a good choice.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because I proposed to her at a Chris Young concert.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And that wasn't the song that I proposed to her at. I proposed to her on Who I Am With You. But I've got friends in certain places, and Chris was playing his show at a rodeo, honestly. And we went and hung out with Chris backstage. You know, he knew everything that was going on, and it was just a special night, man. So that's,
I love that.
You know, if anybody can sing it, you know, I will more than, you know, and you've got the perfect voice for that. I will, you know,
I will give it everything I got.
You know, so yeah, if you can do either one of those, the man, you know, the Man I Am With You is the one that I proposed to her with, but we love, or the Man I Want to Be.
Man I Want to Be.
But Who I Am With You is the one that we, as a matter of fact, he went straight into that. And that's what our first dance was after I proposed to her.
That is so precious. I love that. I hope I have a story like that.
Oh, I'll tell you the whole story one of these days. I mean, we don't have time for it, but I'll tell you the whole story, because you're going to get a kick out of this.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to brush up on that song for you.
But yeah, we're going to be down there. We're going to catch your show. We've got plans for every night except one or two, and so we're definitely going to catch your show now that and you mentioned a lot of people that I know. I mean, Chris, Alyssa, um, uh, golly, there was another one that, Peyton we talked about, and so it's just so cool to see the connections that are made with not only the artists, but just that I'm finding out that I've, kind of entering that inner circle. And
Yeah.
those artists are from the Northeast,
Yeah. It's
except
such,
for Peyton.
yeah, it's such a small town. You'd be
Yeah.
amazed. I look out my window and I see the whole city and it looks so big, but at the same time, it's such a small town. Nashville is just everybody is connected,
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get together and I'll share that story with you very soon.
Look
But man, thanks for coming on. It's been a blast. I have loved talking to you.
same.
This has been one of my top interviews because it's just been so easy just to
Thank you.
chat and
Thank you. I
that's
love
what
every second of it. Thank you so much for having me, George.
well, man, I appreciate it. And we'll see you again real soon. So again, Rob Reiser, be sure to check him out, robreiser.com. Check out his music. And if you're down in Nashville, then, go by and check him out there. Just listen for his voice or head to Redneck Riviera. And even if he's not there, Redneck Riviera is still fun, but, All right. Y'all have a great night and we'll see you on Monday.